الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. The definition and the reality of life, we should be asking ourselves the question: do I know the truth? After knowing the truth, am I seeing the truth? After I see the truth, do I still believe the lies, the deception, the dhokha, the planning, the plotting? Am I still continuing my life on the same road, on the same path, despite knowing the truth, seeing the truth, understanding the truth? But the asal is belief. What do I believe? Because a person's actions are based on their belief system. So somebody said, La ilaha illallah. I believe in one Allah. One is the words, but one is the reality to enter the heart. I believe in the Nabi of Allah. So it's a statement. But this statement will only manifest itself practically, realistically in a person's life when they practice on it. So a person can say the kalima, La ilaha illallah. My every movement, my every thought, my every process in life will be according to Allah's commands. Muhammadur Rasulullah, on the pattern shown to us by Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam. This is the kalima which is on the tongue, but how much is in the heart will be visible in a person's life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran speaks about ghurur, and the scholars have given us the definition, the dictionary meaning, the apparent meaning. كل ما غر الإنسان من مال أو جاه أو شهوة أو إنسان أو شيطان. So everything that decepts, everything that has deception, everything that deceives, everything that may deceive a person, whether it is wealth, whether it is status, whether it is desires, whether it's another person, whether it is shaitan, you are deceived. Nalama Jurjani has given us istilahi definition: وَسُكُونُ النَّفْسِ إِلَى مَا يُوَافِقُ الْهَوَى وَيَمِيلُ إِلَيْهِ الطَّبْعِ. So when the heart is consoled and contented on what their desires want, and where their nature is inclined to, is called ghurur. مَا غَرَّكَ بِرَبِّكَ الْكَرِيمِ. What else, what other thing has convinced you? You've heard so much about it that now you are deceived about Allah. What have you heard so much about that you have become deceived about Allah? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't suffice with Rabb, because Rabb is insufficient for one to realize his error. The one that gave you existence, then subsistence, and then termination. But Kareem, even though you're not eligible, he was still favorable and generous towards you. So all types of deception, whether its basis is from batil in the line of deen or dunya, but ultimately the greatest deception is the deception in deen. And that's why Allama Qassar rahimahullah asked, Ma balu kalami salafi anfa min kalamina. Why were the words of the previous predecessors more beneficial than our speech. لأنهم تكلموا لعز الإسلام ونجاة النفوس ورضا الرحمن. Because when they used to speak, they were primarily focused on honoring Islam, saving people from Jahannam, and making Allah happy. وَنَحْنُ نَتَكَلَّمْ لِعِزِّ النَّفْسِ. We speak to honor, to revere, to idolize ourselves. We just venerate the nafs. وَتَلَبِ الدُّنْيَا, and we want to benefit only in worldly terms. وَقَبُولِ الْخَلْقِ, and we want recognition, we want credit, we want acknowledgement from the creation. So these were the people that their hearts were filled with the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they had hope in Allah, and their hearts were filled فيها الإيمان والقرآن والصبر والشكر والمخافة والمعرفة والرجاء والحياء والحق والصدق والخضوع والخشوع والرأفة والرحمة واليقين والتوكل والزهد والشجاعة والقناعة والعلم والفهم والهدى والنور. Their hearts were drowning in these qualities, and we are drowning in the dunya. So the basis of haq and batil, falsehood, are two opposites. But falsehood is there to convince us otherwise. And eventually haq, when they start believing batil, they start becoming like batil. And different ayat of the Quran highlights this important point, that there's no comparison. أَمْ نَجْعَلُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَأَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ كَالْمُفْسِدِينَ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَمْ نَجْعَلُ الْمُتَّقِينَ كَالْفُجَّارِ. You cannot compare the pious to the sinners. You cannot compare those people who have brought iman and they're there to do good to those who are there to cause corruption. أَفَنَجْعَلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ. There is no comparison of the believers, the Muslims, to the mujrimeen. مثل الفريقين كالأعمى والأصم والبصير والسميع هل يستويان مثلا. Can you compare a blind person to a person who has vision, a deaf person to a person who can hear? أَمَّنْ هُوَ قَانِتٌ آنَاءَ اللَّيْلِ سَاجِدًا وَقَائِمًا. The person who is obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't compare to the other one who disobeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَعْمَى وَالْبَصِيرُ وَلَا الظُّلُمَاتُ وَلَا النُّورُ. Darkness and light, two opposites, no comparison. وَلَا الظِّلُّ وَلَا الْحَرُورُ وَمَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَحْيَاءُ وَلَا الْأَمْوَاتُ. The living and the dead, no comparison. So different ayat is telling us clearly that you cannot compare haq and batil, truth and falsehood. They are two opposites. أَفَمَنْ كَانَ مُؤْمِنًا كَمَنْ كَانَ فَاسِقًا لَا يَسْتَوُونَ. A mu'min, a believer, and a fasiq, a transgressor, can never be equal. So batil works on oppression, haq works on justice. Batil works on harming others, even if it is your brother. Haq works on helping others, even if it may be your enemy. Batil works on arrogance and pride. Haq works on humility. Batil works on using wealth. And haq works on the wealth of iman. So we need to introspect. Am I seeing their vision? Am I living their vision? Am I caught up in their vision, in their planning, in their plotting? To such an extent that if I am doing something wrong, if I harm a person, it will come back to me. Treat others how you want to be treated. They say there was a youngster and he went to a grocery store to buy 60 dirhams of dates. So the grocer gave him dates, but it was reduced in weight. So the boy was shocked and he said, لماذا هذا التمر خفيف الوزن? Why is this kajur lighter? So the grocer replied, to make it easier for you to carry. Make it easier for you to carry. So he said, okay, pay me now. فدفع الولد إليه 50 درهما. So the boy gave him 50 dirhams. فقال البقال إن ثمن التمر 60 درهما. So 60, why you gave me short? So the youngster replied, فأجاب الولد كي أسهل عليك عد النقود. I wanted to make it easier for you to count the money. Tat for tat. So whatever I'm going to do, it's going to come back, if not in this world, in the year after. So a person doesn't have any amal, but yes, he has guts to commit sin. This is a big deception. We are amal-less, yet brazen to commit sin and to breach Allah's awamir. One is a person commits sin in the darkness of the night between him and Allah and he makes tawbah. But one is to do it in open and to be brazen. And a person doesn't realize how much darkness he is in. A story of Juha and a thief. So he realizes a thief in the house. So he went to his bedroom. He looked at the closet, said, let me hide in here. So the thief searched the entire house. He couldn't find anything. Then he came to the bedroom, saw the closet, said, maybe something in here. So he opened the closet and Juha was there. So the thief became frightened and didn't know what to say, because now you just suddenly somebody in the cupboard, in the closet. ماذا تفعلون يا شيخ? What are you doing here? فقال جُحَا. So he replied, متأسف يا سيدي فإني أعرف أنك لن تجد ما تسرقه. You know what, I'm sorry, my apologies. I knew that you came here to rob me and I know there's nothing in the house and I felt sad. ولهذا استحييت. I became very embarrassed. I knew you wouldn't find anything worth stealing. And I'm ashamed now. And I hid out of embarrassment. I hid out of embarrassment. So where am I? Where I should be? What am I doing? We are on different planes. So we need to see through the darkness. Am I part of Allah's mercy or am I part of Allah's anger? We need to be checking. As Thanwi rahmatullah used to say that when Allah's wrath is on someone, then part of that is a person does not regret his sins. He does not have remorse. He does not have grief. He is brazen. He is bold. He promotes his sin. Person who has regret, when you do something wrong and you're ashamed, you wouldn't promote it. So you say this, not regretting is a sign of the anger of Allah. And this was the same condition of Iblis, who had no regrets over his rejection. So he did such a great crime, but he did not have any awareness of this here. So a person's first step of hidayat is admission of guilt. I am wrong, I made a mistake, I am in error. And that's the first step towards progress, is acknowledgement of one's faults. There was a minister who recognized a young man standing at the back of the church on a Sunday while a wedding ceremony was being conducted. And after the ceremony, he recognized this youngster. It was the same one who he performed his wedding. So the youngster was waiting to talk to the minister. So he said, tell me, Reverend, do you believe that someone should profit from the mistakes of others? Do you believe someone should profit from the mistakes of others? He said, definitely not. Why should they? So the youngster, in that case, I want my $500 I paid you for the wedding, perform the wedding ceremony, I give you $500, I want a refund because I got married and I'm paying for the mistake. So in wrong, we made the mistake, but we want to blame everybody else. We want to still make wusuli. We still want to make wusuli and recover. So this deception, we need to check ourselves. Am I in this deception? See, the world is a place of deception. وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. So it's clear, it's a place of deception. But sometimes the deception is of such a level that the deceiver gets deceived. You're a scammer and somebody cons you, then he's a super scammer. That he's scamming the scammer. And that's the era of deception, of fitan, of halat, of conditions. A person is allowed to decide what gender they are. What a deception. It's clear cut, you are male. Every sign in you is a male, but you decide I want to be a female. What license, what authority, on what basis, even if you go on a logical scenario. And second is, who gave you a right to decide? People will start deciding what type of animal they are. So how bad can it get? Where do you draw the line? So in a world where deception is of the highest level, Batil is trying to convince us of all these agendas, and we believe in it, we accept in it, we put in our children, we put in our most beloveds in places of destruction, we are putting them in places of compromise, and when that compromise does happen, and when the deen is sold, and when it's too late, then it is many a time very difficult to undo the damage. So the deceiver gets deceived. There was a wedding, and the groom took the minister one side and said, I'll give you $100 if you change my wedding vows. When you reach the part, I promise to love, honor, obey, forsake all others, be faithful to you forever, I want you to leave this part out. I'm making a deal with you. Just skip that part there. So the minister took the $100. So now he thought so upset, because sometimes people don't want to commit. What a deception. We getting into a commitment, but you don't want to commit, because the intention while you're getting into it is to contravene. So the ceremony is going on, and he comes to the vows of the groom, and he says, addressing the groom, will you promise to obey her every command and wish, serve her breakfast in bed every morning, and swear that you will never look at another woman? Now the groom is pareshan, worried, what's happening here? He was terrified, he was horrified. Slowly goes to the minister and says, I thought so, we had a deal. Silently tells him, I thought so, we had a deal. So the minister pats him on the back and then puts $100 into his hand and says, yes, but the bride made me a better offer. The bride made me a better offer. So the levels of deception are intensifying. We need to intensify our amal, we need to intensify our timelines with regards to giving for Allah, giving for akhirat, and make sure we don't get caught in this deception, which are on different levels. Whether a person is looking for the right mufti, for the right fatwa, and he chooses different muftis. He comes to the Islamic finance side, what suits him, and what mufti he thinks, okay, if this permissibility, he chooses that. To the scholars on those boards who authorize it on different levels. So somebody goes to the shaykh, go to an alim, he wants mashwara, but he gives only his side of the story. So obviously you'll get a suggestion based on what you put forward. Haram things a person wants to do, but he justifies it. Haram sustenance, it's doubtful sustenance, but he legitimatize it, he legalize it. Somebody shaves off his beard, some lady doesn't wear hijab. We know it's wrong, but we still continue. We know it's 100% wrong what I'm doing. At least have the guilty conscience. Wake up with tears every morning. When you look in the mirror, cry in front of Allah. Ya Allah, what is in my heart? I can't see the reality. Ask him, do you know it's wrong? He said, yes, I know it's wrong. One day I'll change, one day. We have in these lavish, extravagant functions where Allah's commands are broken, intermingling of sexes. And you say that make dua, Allah puts barakat in their nikah. We broke every rule of barakat, every rule that will draw away barakat and draw Allah's adhab and calamities. And we're saying that Mufti Sahib is here, he's going to read a qiraat and make dua. It's like being in a gas depot and putting explosives on every gas tank in the depot and setting a timer for 5 minutes and then calling Mufti Sahib here and say, Mufti Sahib, just make dua, everything goes well here on my place. So we're in such a blindness we can't see through it. Allah has given us children, they're an amanat, we're supposed to make their tarbiyah, train them, prepare them for akhirah. Prepare them for every stage of the akhirah. We're preparing them for every stage of dunya and making them blind of akhirah. A husband will go to a place, go to a function with his wife all dressed up for other men to see, where the ahadith says and does warnings for the youth, a person who can allow other men to see his wife and he doesn't have any ghayrat. A woman who leaves the home with perfume, with the niyat of enticing other men, is compared to in the hadith like an adulteress. She is leaving the house like a zania. So we don't realize where we are going, which direction. I need to introspect. I need to change my focus in life. I need to change my direction. Where am I going? I don't even see it. And even the people who are in good think so they're good, but they don't see it. They're causing more harm. They think so. They're doing good in the name of good. Somebody puts a big charity in the masjid clock, but he puts his company name there for show. A scholar giving a lecture gave a lecture to prove to the person on the other side he's right. It wasn't ikhlas lillah. I just want to prove a point. I just want to prove my point. I am right, he's wrong, finish. In the masjid where there should be ittifaq, there's unity, we have arguments, we raise our voices for the wrong reasons, to prove that we are right, not for haq. There was a traffic cop in a small town, he stopped a motorist for speeding. You are speeding. I can explain, sir. So the driver said, officer, I can explain. Save your excuses. Cop was very rude, hard, harsh. You can cool your heels in jail till the chief gets back. So the person said, but officer, just keep quiet. You go into jail and the chief will deal with you when he gets back. So a few hours has passed and the officer now looks at the prisoner. Lucky for you that the chief is at his daughter's wedding. So it means he will be in a good mood when he gets back. It will mean that he will be in a good mood when he gets back. Don't count on it, said the prisoner. I'm the groom. I am the groom. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq of making amal and understanding. The amal for today is to make sure that we are in the masjid with salat, with jamaat, takbir ula, safi ula. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.